Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of this brand new series, should I say, of Spirit Talk. So today we are joined by Chris from Lone Vigils Paranormal Investigation Group. So Chris will be giving us an insight into his journey in the paranormal world, some of the things he's been up to, maybe some scariest experiences he may have had. So we've got a lot to go through. And Chris, thank you very much for joining us, mate.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Jared.
So guys, as well, if you do have any comments, if you'd like to share for us, that would be absolutely fantastic. But if you have any comments you'd like to obviously put in the comment section, or any questions you'd like to ask Chris, please do, and we will get them asked for you. So Chris, we come to you now, my friend, so we can get sort of your background. So can you let us know a bit about yourself and how you got started in the world of the paranormal?
Yeah, so I didn't really have an experience. You find a lot of people that are interested in the paranormal and things like that. They have a lot of experience when they were kind of younger. I didn't have anything like that. It was kind of something that I came upon like later on in life. I probably one of my first experience that I did have was actually while I was down in London, working in London. I was actually working in a pub, and we all were having after hours drinks, which we shouldn't have been, which I shouldn't really be saying this because I might get in trouble if I get caught. But yeah, we all sat down, we were like, oh, we'll do the Ouija board, this, that and the other. So everyone was like getting into it. And one of the girls that had just actually started there, I think she'd only been about a week. She actually, there was a name spell out on the Ouija board. I didn't really believe in it all back then, and what kind of threw me was this name was spelled out, and no one knew before this happened that this girl had actually lost her sister, and that was her name that spelled that out. So no one would have knew about. Oh yeah, so that kind of opened my eyes quite a bit. Most Haunted got me into it. Most Haunted got me into it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say unfortunately, because it was a big part of me getting into the paranormal. Yes, I know a lot of people don't think that the old stuff is as good as the new stuff, but yeah, it got me into the paranormal as well. So that was kind of, I think I was maybe 24 when I started really getting into it. So yeah.
Wow. I think everyone had that thing, hadn't they, with most Haunted, especially early 2000s, because there was nothing ever like that seen before. Like, I know nowadays we've got Ghost Adventures, haven't we? Like, is it a Paranormal Lockdown, all these? But back then, that was literally the only thing we had.
The only one.
And
absolutely.
Even people who technically didn't believe, it get everyone sat around the telly.
It was kind of something that people hadn't seen, hadn't it? And it kind of opened the idea to what it was all about. So yeah.
So did you ever watch one at Pendle Hill when they did the 3-day live at Pendle
Oh
Hill?
yes,
mate, that was the only one out of everyone I'd ever watched what actually scared me as a kid. It actually gave me nightmares.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was terrified.
I actually went to one of the lives.
Oh really?
I'll tell you an interesting story. I actually had a few beers beforehand, and because I was in the studio, and because the studios are so hot with all the lighting and things like that, I actually ended up going outside because I didn't feel so great after a few beers. One of the backroom staff came up to me. Are you feeling okay? Yeah. I didn't know whether you were picking up on anything or whatever. Yeah. No, just had a few too many beers, that's all. So yeah, and I actually ended up leaving early, to be honest, because I didn't feel so great. Oh, no. So yeah.
Oh man, that's one thing I would love to experience. To be in the studio setting and like how the lives would have, how they worked. So behind even the things you don't technically see on telly, what you may have experienced. So that brings me into one of my questions. Do you have any like abilities yourself, like psychic abilities, mediumship, or anything like that?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
None whatsoever. I'd love to do it. I'd love to have the ability to do it. I do a lot of work with my wife Claire, who's I class her as a sensitive. She didn't really believe it in herself, but I was the one that kind of pushed her to be open more to it. And she does a lot of work with me ever since she's done a lot of Reiki master training, mediumship training, and she's kind of helped me along the way. I'm still nowhere near where I'd love to be, but I don't pick up anything. The only thing I get on investigations is the shackles on my arms. That's the only thing I ever get. Every now and then, I've noticed lately, again, Claire was the one that kind of pointed me to this, was the name Thomas. And she believes Thomas is my spirit guide. And we've actually had probably over the last couple of months, Thomas has come through as my spirit guide on investigations. Now, it was just last weekend up at Kipling Hall. I'd done my live, and someone had picked up on the name Thomas while I was doing my Lone Vigil.
That's cool.
What was really strange is when I finished my live and went to join the group, one of the team members, Robbie, he wasn't aware of any of this because I was on my own doing my live and he was with guests downstairs. He picked up on the name Thomas. Again, he's not sensitive or anything, and he picked up the name Thomas, and he couldn't believe it when I said to him, look, it was in the same room as well, where they'd picked up on the name Thomas in the library room at Kipling Hall. So that was very strange. That's
awesome. I think everyone's got that form of ability, even if it's not necessarily standing giving messages or along that side, but to even sensing, because I think as well when you're in that mindset, because I said this about when we've done our lives as well, or if you're on an investigation, you're naturally a bit more open-minded, so you're probably more likely to start picking, even if it's just little things.
Everyone's got the ability. That's what Claire always says, and where I always say to guests on our investigations, be open to your intuition. Don't just shut it off. If you think you've got a name or a message or you've seen something, go with it. Don't doubt yourself. Just go with it, because your intuition, when you're doing, I hate the word ghost hunt, but I've got to use the word ghost hunt because we do it as an event, because we don't go hunting for ghosts. I'm not an Egon with a Broughton pack. I could tell you a story about my wedding dance with Claire being a Ghostbuster, but I won't go into that. Yeah, we did our first dance to the Ghostbuster theme tune.
That's awesome.
But everyone's open, and everyone's got the ability to do it. It's just believing in it and being open to it all.
Definitely.
So yeah.
So just before, you started Lone Vigils, have you been on many investigations before? Is it something you got quite into?
Yeah, again, I was a late bloomer. Like I said, 23, 24 maybe started. That was a long time ago, that. My big 4 this year, so it's a long time ago. Yeah. So I did, my first ever one that I did was a place called Yarm Fellowship Hall. That's over in a place obviously called Yarm. In our area, we've just literally done it at the beginning of February, and that was, that kind of, you kind of get the bug. Everyone says it, you get the bug for it, and it's just kind of, I think it's not knowing, and you want to know more, and you want to know whether or not there is something on the other side or out there, or there's so many different theories, and I have a third theory in my head. Claire, my wife, has a total different theory. So it's getting to know the unknown, isn't it? So yeah.
So was it, just to go back, I meant to ask you this one. So you mentioned obviously doing the Ouija board and things like that. Was it long after that when you'd start doing the investigations, or was it quite a big gap between them?
No, I think it was probably about 4 or 5 years after that, because I was actually down in London that time. And it wasn't until I came actually back up here I did my first investigation, which was at Yarm Fellowship Hall. So but that was kind of what opened my eyes to it all. And then I got into watching Most Haunted, and then I kind of came home, and then because I had more kind of my local friends and my family were kind of like open to it, So it was more like, right, okay, shall we go and try this? So yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. This is what I'm really interested in, because one of the things reason I wanted to start this spirit talk is to get everyone's different experiences and like, what roads people may have gone down to get to where they are today. And obviously, like you say, what you were saying then, like we're all after them answers. We're all searching, and this is the bug in it. It's like even if you get some of the best evidence you've ever got, but you have to keep going back to see if you can get more, or you get more information coming through. You can't help it. I remember we did an investigation at a hotel in Blackpool. Mate, we'll have to get you down for this place. It's absolutely crazy.
Absolutely.
And I remember it's the best evidence we ever got, and we stopped filming. And I'm like, this is typical. I know. I was just like, this is. And we was downstairs, so the bar area is downstairs. So we'd all finished, so just packing down, and someone walked across the whole landing of the hotel, and it was only 3 of us in the hotel at the time. And it was like, it sounded like nurses' shoes, them kind of stilettos, kind of thing. It was like. That kind of thing. It was really bizarre, and it was the best thing I've ever heard. It took me a minute to decide to go upstairs once I'd calmed down after going, what the hell was that? But yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'll hold my hand up and I'll do it in front of everyone right here. As much as I love doing this, and I tell all our guests on our events, as much as I love doing this, I get scared. And I'm sure if there's a couple of our regulars that are on, they'll tell you right now that I do get scared. But it's that fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think when you don't expect it to happen, and you get, like you say, you get touched or just a noise, and it's behind you, and you're like, where's that come from? There's not your rational brain is going, what the hell?
Yeah.
Mate, it's so true. So what was it made you want to start Lone Vigils up then?
Like I mentioned before we went live, me and Claire, we used to go all over the country. We used to spend 12-hour lockdowns. We used to go to prisons, literally Wales, Scotland, anywhere, you name it, me and Claire went. And it was one of them moments where, we thought maybe we could do better. It was just that you know what, and it was actually Claire that really pushed for it, because I was one of them people that used to love going off and doing our thing rather than being in a team and being. It felt like sometimes like you were a flock of sheep and you were following the team, and I was one of them people that wanted to go and do my thing. So when Claire kind of put it to me, I was like, I don't want to do that. I enjoy doing my investigating, but she pushed me, and as you know, wives get their way, and here we are.
So I also wanted to cover over a few different locations as well, with you as well. So the first one I do want to talk about, which we were talking about pre-show, was 30 East Drive. And as I mentioned, we're due to go there in October. How many times have you been there before?
3.
Do you find it's quite active, or is it not as active as what you make it to be? What are your thoughts on it?
I believe that there's definitely something there. Whether or not it's to the extent of what the story, I think because the story gives it such a hype, and again, it's any location. What we notice, you've got so much hype of locations. You expect head spinning, you expect doors slamming, you accept prams being pushed or balls being pushed, and that hype sometimes kind of overtakes you a little bit. And I think East Drive is a bit like that, but there's definitely something there, because I literally I was doing a live, and if the team members are on at the minute, they'll remember the phone call, because I had to ring them. I was that scared. I was doing a live, and then I came off the live, and the door actually started to push open, and then there was a big bang on the other side of it. And I literally had to put the light switches on, because I was that scared. So I'm a firm believer that there's definitely something there. I'm a firm believer. A lot of people ban the word devil and demon around too easily. I say it all the time on events, and this is just my thoughts. People might have other different opinions, but I don't believe in the word devil and demon. I do believe in negative energy that's been left behind by so-called negative spirits or negative, just like in our world now, you get negative people. That negativity would have been left behind if something's kind of been left there and it's been grounded to that place or the grounds itself. So yes, I definitely believe there's something there, but whether or not some end to the story kind of gives you a more of a hyped impression of the place, then but that's open to interpretation, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. And I think as well, it's like anything in a lot of places you go, every day differs from day to day. So one day you could have more activity than, possibly another day. And I think, I really can't, that's one thing I can't wait to go to experience it for ourselves and see actually what happens. Because as we mentioned, you might go there one day and get absolutely nothing. And then you could go there another day and, everything could be happening.
Yeah.
But I understand,
had,
totally get where you're coming from about things being overhyped and things.
Yeah, we've had did I say 3 events there? We've had some nights where it's been really quiet. Yeah, we've had a night where it's been really active, and it's like any location, you can't get the spirits to come out and perform. They won't come out and perform because you're asking them to. They'll come when they want to. If they want to interact with us, they will. If they don't, they won't. So yeah, every night differs.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think as well, it's if they not necessarily realise they've passed away and they think they're still there, and they're probably going, "Who the hell is this in my house?" And why you're shouting out, going, "Who's here? Can you move this? Can you do this?" I think obviously that changes things a bit.
Yeah, we always say on our events, we're a firm believer, and all the team members will say this, as well as guests. We're firm believers on respect on events, respect of spirit, because if I went into your house and started talking to you with attitude, with aggression, with negativity, would you want to talk to me?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very, very good
Of course
point.
you would. Of course you wouldn't. So we always say to our guests on our events, we treat spirit with respect. We don't antagonise. We don't goad. So yeah, that's we're a firm believer in that.
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing in it, especially in all these investigations, no matter what you're doing, is respect and respect for people.
Absolutely.
Like you say, even just respecting people in your group and people you work with and every day to day. That's what it is. That's the key word, is respect. I totally agree there. There's a couple of places I want to talk about. And this next place, so I'm a singer. This is my normal job. And this theatre I am playing in June, which is the Majestic Theatre in Darlington. If you didn't guess by the hair, I do Elvis. But we are doing the Majestic Theatre.
Sorry, Jared, when in June?
You caught me up. 18th, I think. I think it's Friday the 18th. It's around that date anyway. I think it's about the third Friday in June.
I think it's the week before we do our next investigation.
Is it? And I don't know anything paranormal to do with obviously the theatre, but I just saw it was on your list and I thought, I need to ask you about this. And it's a beautiful theatre looking at it like. So what experiences have you had at the Majestic?
Plenty. We just literally again, I think it was the beginning of February? Beginning of February, we've just done a 12-hour lockdown in there. I didn't stay the night. I left the staff because I lived just literally 10 minutes down the road. So I left early, and I was doing a few bits and bobs behind the scenes for LVI. The staff were saying that they were literally kept up all night. But I do remember the first time we went down and met Haley at the Majestic, who's the director and the owner of the Majestic Theatre. And we were sat literally, if you look at the photo that's up now, we were sat up in the top left corner.
Yeah.
And there was a few bits and bobs going on, like just the staff doing whatever. And we did an EVP call out session. Didn't hear anything on response, asking a few questions. We listened back there and then. And what we heard was a whistle on the EVP recorder, Now, Haley, the owner, literally her jaw dropped, and she's like, I can't believe I've just heard that. I know I've had a few odd experiences in here, but the fact that I've physically heard something that was kind of just the beginning of this place. And I think I'm sure she mentioned as well, that whistling was to do in the theatre world. Whistling's something to do with, I could be totally wrong here what she said, and don't quote me on it, but I'm sure she said it was something to do if there was kind of props being lowered down or something.
Right.
So whether or not that was kind of linked to any accident, or like behind the scene or whatever, that whistle. Yeah, it's been an amazing location to investigate, and a pleasure to do it.
Oh mate, I can't wait. My band are going to be watching me walk round, before like when they're rehearsing. Like, is anybody like looking around? Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
it's very active. Oh mate, that sounds awesome. I'm excited to play there anyway. But now I've know a bit of the stories about what's happened there. I'm going to be on edge now, walking around like listening.
I was going to say you're going to be watching round as you're singing and what.
Oh,
So
man,
yeah.
So how was it? What was it? What made you choose these venues as well? Like obviously I know East Drive's infamous, but like the Majestic Theatre, Darlington, like the Victoria Tunnel and stuff.
Yeah, so you've got to do research into locations. You've got to get to know the history of the place. And we always say to guests on our events that we don't like to go through the history of the place because it kind of puts that impression of them things that you're telling them in your head, and they could potentially use that later on at night. But because we've got to put something kind of on our website, and we've got to look into the history of the place, it was just kind of been a potluck, and we came across it. And I think we'd seen that another team had done it. I can't remember who. So we rang up early and organised a meeting, and as you say, the rest is history. And now we're exclusive team to do the 12-hour sleepovers. They still allow other teams in to do a normal event, like say 9 till 2, but we're the exclusive team to do 12-hour sleepovers in there.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Which is cool.
Yeah. We do have 2 questions for you here. So this one's from Shirley, saying, question for Chris: if you could investigate any place, what would be your first choice?
I think she's beaten you to it, hasn't she, Jared? I think
she has. It was in my list, but I will let Shirley have this one.
Questions, yeah. Oh God, where would I want to? Right, I've got a couple. I'd love to do Bamborough Castle, but I think I'm going to go over the pond over in America. It's got to be Waverly Hills Sanatorium, or the Winchester Hotel.
Oh, the Winchester, that would be epic.
That place, it just freaks me out because of the whole. It's like kind of on different levels and different corridors, isn't it? And they say that the spirit world is kind of on different levels, and that's why they built it like that.
Yeah.
So spirit would get lost. So yeah, I think unfortunately I'm going to have to go over the pond. I'm going to have to do a bucket list and go over the pond and say Waverly Hills Sanatorium or Winchester.
Yeah, the Winchester as well, didn't they? Don't they say it's the spirits of the people who were killed by the Winchester rifle?
They were killed by the Winchester, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It'd be definitely interesting to see what you'd pick up in there, and if you got lost yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was like a trail of breadcrumbs behind me, I think.
We have another question here from Claire Lou, which is, what was your most scariest moment?
Claire should know this. Claire's my wife, and she's probably sat on the other side laughing to herself, probably. Scariest moment. Again, it's got to be a couple. I'll start with one of them. Again, she's beaten you to it as well. That was one of your questions. Yeah. We went to a place down in Lincolnshire, I think it is, called Rewsbury Abbey. Now, when me and Claire did as a guest investigations before we set up Lone VI, we never used to do the white light protection. And I always used to watch the TV shows and see scratches and this. I never believed. I thought to myself that was a bit too far-fetched. But it was really strange because it wasn't a basement. It was like down under the ground, but it was like a narrow corridor that every now and then came to an alcove, like around the perimeter of the venue. Now, this venue, you Google it, it just looks a typical Gothic haunted mansion. And she said to me, that she felt like there was like some kind of burning on her thigh. So we went upstairs after doing our calling out, and she said, "Will you come to the toilet to take a look with me?" Lo and behold, there was a scratch on her leg. Wow. So a lot of people were like, and we had a skeptic on that night, and I remember him saying, "Look, like I'm skeptical," and everyone saw her trousers. She had thermal trousers on. Yeah. There was no rip on her trousers, no cuts, no nothing. So there was no like sharp object that had maybe caught her, that had caused the scratch. And he said, "Look, because it was such a narrow corridor, if you'd caught it on a bramble or something or whatever, or something sharp, it would have been cut vertically. Horizontally. The scratch was vertical on her thigh." Right. So I went back down, being the big hard husband I am. Though I took a few people with me. Didn't do it on my own. And did some calling out. We came back about 20 minutes later, and she said to me, "Chris, you're not going to believe this. I've got another 2 scratches on me."
Wow.
So there was 3 in total. She went to show me, and there was a 4th one appeared since. The 3rd one had appeared.
Wow.
So that kind of scared me quite a bit. The fact that, and this is what I always say about negative energy. It's not about scaring people. It's not about this, that, the other, but we don't know what we're dealing with. And this is why from that day onwards, we always did the white light protection at the beginning of our night, and we always give the white light protection to guests that want it on our event. Some people don't believe in it. Some people are just like, "Oh yeah, whatever," because me and Claire were. So that kind of opened my eyes massively. And then the other one was probably doing my first ever Lone Vigil. And like I say, as much as I love doing this job, I get scared very easily.
Yeah.
Now our exclusive venue, Kipling Hall, I mean, this place is just stunning. We were there last week. It is absolutely stunning. It's huge. During the first lockdown, we asked the owner of Kipling Hall if we could do a live, just to kind of keep our page going in, because nothing was being done and investigations been done because lockdown was happening. It was kind of keep the page going and keep it from getting static. So I went and did a Lone live for a couple of hours down in Kipling Hall. That was scary. That was really scary. I thought I heard a groan while I was up in the long gallery. What else was there? There was taps and bangs on response. Well, bangs, not taps, bangs on response. The footsteps, Claire's just said. So yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, I've never done a Lone Vigil yet. I really want to, but I am the same thing. I'm like, I don't know what to expect, and I know for a fact as soon as you hear one thing, I'll be running.
I've got a lot better. Well, I think I have anyway. A lot of the guys on our lives probably think I'm a right scaredy cat, you know what I mean? But I think I've got a lot better doing them, because I do them now on our events. I generally leave sometimes the guests with the team, and then I'll go off and do a live for an hour on my own in places. So I've got better, but it still scares me.
But we do have another question for you, so I will let you answer this just while she's saying hi now. This is from Claire as well. So what is your favourite piece or best piece of equipment?
Your senses. As much as I love our SLSs, our K2s, our Ouija boards. Again, Ouija boards are kind of misinterpreted. As long as they're used correctly and properly, they're a great piece of equipment if they're opened and closed properly. But I believe I'd much rather, if I could, spend the whole 5-6 hours of our investigations literally sat in the dark, calling out. I could. I think if you're open to it, and you believe in your intuition, then something will happen, because your intuition is open to what's out there. So yeah, best piece of equipment. As much as I love our equipment, it's got to be your senses.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Ouija boards, right? So obviously everyone's got different thoughts. Personally, they're not my thing. But have you ever had a sort of not negative experience, but something where it was like, actually, this is maybe not as what I thought it would be? Or have every sort of investigation you've done where you've used them, has it been okay for you and not had any issues?
Yeah, we've again. It was I was just about to say Kielder. Claire kind of opened my eyes to the Ouija board. Just we had a experience up at Kielder Castle, where you've got to kind of look out for signs on the Ouija board, whether they make sense, whether they, I think it's the four corners. Sorry, spelling out kind of gobbledygook, and this was it. It was coming through as a child, but it was answering questions. So if you think about it, a child wouldn't be able to answer these questions.
Yeah.
So it's things like that you've got to kind of look out for. And on that night, Claire actually, I think we had stuff thrown while the Ouija board was going. We had like
it was answering questions of people in the other corner.
Yeah, it was answering the questions from the other group in the other corner. So we immediately shut that down because it felt like it was a bit negative, and it was trying to what's the word? Not goad our guests, but kind of use our guests to reel them in. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So it's just little things like that. You've got to kind of look out for the Ouija board. If it's used properly, great piece of equipment. You've just got to kind of make sure that it's open and closed properly, and it's used properly.
Yeah, totally agree. It's one of the interesting, and I think as well, a lot of things, Hollywood and TV have made things come out across a lot worse.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you don't really know what you're doing or are unsure, when people, like when people younger start playing with Ouija boards, think, we'll see what happens. It's not really the safest thing to do, and I think that's maybe where it probably gets more of a bad rap than maybe what.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree.
There was another place I wanted to talk about. So me and my father-in-law, who is watching, Bob, we went to Newsham Park. It was about 2 weeks ago now, and what a cool place! This place was awesome. What were your thoughts and sort of experiences at Newsham Park?
So I've only ever done it the once before. We've got it in April, I think the 7th of April. I'll do a little plug here. We've got 2 spaces left if anyone wants to join us.
I'm coming with you. This is one of these in my space because I really want to go back. So I'll take them 2 spaces. I'll message you afterwards and we'll sort it out.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. There you go, guys. Sorry, you're out of luck.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. So it's the fear. It's an abandoned place. All that emotion that's been left behind in that building, from what it used to be, all the negativity, all the things of what happened in there. It's got to have resonated in them walls. It's got to have done. It's just, and it makes it worse the fact that it's abandoned and it kind of looks creepy. It kind of opens you even more to fear itself, because I believe that fear overtakes sometimes. It does it with me. I'll hold my hands up. It overtakes me sometimes when stuff starts to go down. But it's just that emotion of the place. What has happened in there? And like I say again, because of how it looks and how it is, I think the one time that we did it me and Claire, again, this was before Lone Vigils was set up. We were in what's classed as, so if you look at, just trying to look, so you see the taller clock tower in the middle.
Yeah.
There's some windows at the top, which is classed as the Naughty Boys corridor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a really long corridor with little cupboards.
Yeah,
the fact that side of the corridor,
used to
isn't
put
it?
the kids in there is terrible.
Yeah, they used to put the naughty kids in there. And me and Claire were in there. We did again an EVP, and clear as day. I don't think we listened till the next day, but clear as day we heard a little girl go, "Mommy," and that just, I'm just getting the shackles just talking
That's
about
amazing.
it. That was just like, wow. I think we're also down in the sports hall, and what sounded like someone saying my name is Fish. It kind of didn't make sense. We kind of tried to Google whether there was a surname Fisher, but we never came across anything. But it was clear as day. My name's Fish, and that was really strange. But it's just an awesome place. It's the holy grail for paranormal investigators in the UK, isn't it? It's just one of them wow locations.
I totally agree. We the most active place, actually, surprisingly for us, was the I can't remember which bit it is. So when you go through the Naughty Boys corner, you went to it was like the mental hospital part, weren't it? Right at the far end in it, basically. The activity we got in there was really, really good. Out of probably everywhere we went, that was actually the most active place. And also the creepiest place I actually found was, where they used to do the electric shock treatment. The energy in that room was absolutely awful. It was just heavy.
Yeah.
When you walk in a room, you're like, this is not nice. Like, I can't describe what it was, but they were the two main places where I was like, yeah, this is weird.
I'm kind of dreading it because I've told everyone, and I don't know why I told them all this, but I'm going to try and do a lone live in the
that's epic.
Naughty Boys corridor. I'm going to try. I'm emphasising the word try.
I'm not sure how long you'll last.
Whether I get up there or not is another thing.
Yeah, I think
but I'm going to try my best.
Where was it as well? The laundry room, that part as well, down in the basement. Yeah, that was quite active.
Yeah.
We all got quite a lot of cat balls going there and stuff.
I think that was one of the most active places we had.
Yeah.
I think there was footsteps out in the corridor we heard as we were calling out, and things were moving down there. So I think, I'm sure it was downstairs where we had a lot of activity as well.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing place. Like, willing to go back. So yeah, I'll sort that out with you at the end of this episode, and we can finally get to meet in person and get to join the investigation. That'll be epic. We do have another question here. Is there a this is from Tonya. Is there a place you'd not investigate?
Evening, Tonya. Sorry, say again, Jared.
Is there a place you'd not investigate?
No. I think, unfortunately, if there's locations that our guests want to do, then I'll do it for them. I'd reluctantly go there, but yeah, it's like Newsham. It's somewhere that people are desperate to do. There's a place up in Northumberland, not far from us, Chillingham Castle, and I think Tonya will know a bit about Chillingham. If someone wants to do that, we'll kind of do it. So no, I don't think so. If it was on my own, then I think I'd have a long list being reeled off. But the fact that I've got my team members and my guests with me, anywhere.
Yeah, talking of your team, so obviously we're coming towards the end of today's episode. So thank you obviously for taking time out to speak to us and everyone joining. So in regards to your team, is it friends you've known for a while, or is it people who've just joined as you've been going on? What kind of team is it you've got around you?
Yeah, so we kind of it was originally just me and Claire doing it. We did it every other weekend because I was working full time at the time. Before, and it was just me and Claire that did it, and we ended up having Archie just before lockdown, so she fell pregnant 9 months before obviously lockdown happened. So then that kind of made me realise we had a few team members kind of before that anyway, just to kind of like help the burden. But now I think we've got a strong team of about 10. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that helps, doesn't it? When you all get on and you're all in the same mindset, you're there for the same reason. Because I found personally from my experience that if you get sort of one person who's not like sort of brings a bit of ego or just something to it, it just completely ruins everything. But when you've got a good solid team around you who are all on the same page, I think that's why you probably do get a bit more activity as well, because you're more open yourself.
Yeah, we kind of always say to guests as well, as seriously as we take this and what we do, it's always good to have a laugh and a joke between us all. I always use the scenario at the beginning of an event. I'll say to guests, look, listen, if you were to walk into a pub and you were to see one group on one side with their arms folded, not talking, not chatting, not having a laugh, not having a joke, yet on the other side you had a group that were having a laugh and a joke, bit of banter between each other, which group would you go to? You'd go to that one that having a laugh and a joke, and it brings so much energy to the location that you're at. That spirit will use that. Spirit will feed off that energy. As crazy as that sounds, spirit will feed off that energy. So I always try and get guests to get involved. It's hard sometimes because people struggle to call out. They're a bit shy, or they don't like the sound of their own voice. I'm the same. I hate my own voice. I get sick of hearing my own voice sometimes on events. But I'm sorry, Claire, what did you say? So she said, so do I. So yeah, so it's just having that emphasis on the guests. Enjoy your night, because you will get spirit come forward and use that energy.
No, mate, I totally agree. So the sort of the question I'm going to sort of finish on here. Again, thank you, mate, for taking your time out to talk to us on this first episode. But
Yeah.
as we all are, we're all on a journey for answers and to find that proof of the afterlife, the spirit world. Do you believe that you have got that solid proof of what you're after? Or is there something else you're waiting for?
No, I think we're always waiting for something else. We had, I'll use this as an example. We had something happen at one of our exclusive locations, Richmondshire, back in October, which for a paranormal investigator, I think the holy grail for you is to see something physically with your own eyes, to see a spirit or a ghost. I think the next thing is to see something physically move in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
We literally had all our guests, we literally had all the staff, and we literally had the two curators of the building, Richmondshire Museum, in the same room, watching this teddy bear being pushed across the table. It light up, and it must have moved about 6 inches on the table, and it slid across the table. I've not physically seen that since I started doing this.
Yeah.
And if I've got to wait another 8-10 years to see that again, I don't mind, because it's I don't think we'll ever know the answers, will we? I don't think we'll ever know.
That's a very good point.
The word paranormal, I always say as well to guests, is not just linked to ghosts and spirit. It's paranormal actually means that's something that can't be explained, whether it's paranormal or not, if that makes sense. But there's much more going on than just ghost hunts. It's people being open to different connections and different levels. We were talking about this earlier. I don't have that. I'd love to have that. But it's people are going to experience more because they're more open to it, because their levels. You've got your spirit guides, your spirit animals, your chakras, things like that. It's being opening yourself to it, and I don't think we'll ever get the answers, will we? Not in our time.
Yeah, I know there's quite a few
I'd like
people.
to hope.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few people trying different things, aren't there? There's a guy I follow on YouTube. He's like trying to create this like direct telephone to the other side. So use like the spirit box, but trying to get it clearer and clearer and clearer. And like you say, it's pretty amazing what people can get. But that's one of my things. Is I'm a big believer, and like you say, I'm similar to you. Still waiting for that solid, like you say, that full
Yeah.
body apparition or whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm still at that thing of like, you don't really know until you get there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's the unknown.
oh, Tanya, thank you very much. You got quite a few love hearts coming in as well, mate. But people saying how much they enjoyed it. So,
Good.
you know, Chris, again, you know, and everyone else, thank you very much for being a part of the first episode and coming on to Paranormal Living, mate. Honestly, it's a pleasure, and you know, I really do appreciate it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Jared. Really, yes, and thank you for having me.